Oh, yeah.
A quorum is present.
Mayor, I'd like to. To October 30th.
Till October 30th.
Yes.
Hearing no public comment, we'll move on to,
Excuse me,
Come on, President. For public comment.
prior to this is a press credential situation here about the endeavor. Prior to,
hold on, sir. It has to be something on the agenda, and I stated.
That is on the agenda.
It's an issue.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
okay, prior to the 21st when it landed, I went to City Hall to find information about the photography, that they're going to hire anybody for it. They didn't know anything. They said, well, we're going to have the press conference on the 13th on the city lawn. That didn't happen. So I was referred down to planning. Went down to planning. They made 3 phone calls and couldn't tell me anything. I left my business card, my business license information, and I haven't heard from them yet. I went back there again, and the lady who I talked to wasn't there, so I couldn't follow through. On the day of the endeavor at the forum, I used my press credentials, came through the parking area, tried to find the media area, found it, and they said we don't have any wristbands for your local officer. The officer there at the checkpoint called somebody, they called somebody else. Then a lieutenant came with the press passes for the wristband. She told the officer, don't give it to anybody unless they're major media. And I'm working for the California Crusader, and you know Meg Roy and her daughter and everything. Had press credentials, I have a city license, and I was denied access to take pictures. Okay, I don't know why that happened, or I can't get an explanation from anybody from it. But Meg Roy has been a city commissioner. She's been here for years before she died, and we just got no respect on that one. The people on the podium were mostly Endeavor people. We had hardly any local press on the podium, and so we got denied access for all of that activity. So I was wondering what the policy is for this in the future.
Close public comment. Item 1, CSA 1 and H1.
Move allow payment. Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Dunlap,
No.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. P1 has been continued. Madam Clerk, what's the next scheduled matter?
The next scheduled matter is a public hearing to consider zoning code amendment 2012-02 to establish regulations for ambulance dispatch service in the C1 zone, subject to a special use permit approval.
Has notice of this hearing been given in time, form, and manner as required by law? And do you have the affidavit on file?
Notice has been given and affidavit is on file.
Have any communications been received on the matter, and is it complete planning file present?
No communications, and yes, the planning file is present.
City Manager, is the staff report on the matter?
Yes, Chris Jackson, Acting Economic and Community Development Director, will give the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This particular matter is an issue that was continued from our, from the September 11th, actually continued originally from October 21st to September 11th to this meeting. In particular, this particular request was to make modifications to the C1 zone to allow for ambulance dispatch services subject to a special use permit. I'm going to quickly go over, just kind of bring us up to speed in terms of what the original request was. Identified in this particular slide is the C1 zone, which is primarily composed in the downtown area. A particular issue was a concern about the ability to be able to apply for ambulance dispatch services in the C1 zone as compared to the M1 zone, which staff has consistently made a determination that ambulance dispatch services are permitted, as are vehicle storage facilities in the M1 zone. As far as the Los Angeles County Fire Department areas of issue, particularly the city contracts with the Fire Protection District of Los Angeles County, and as a result, the county Fire Department actually subcontracts or contracts with local paramedic services. This area, our city of Inglewood, is covered under EOA 4, or exclusive operating area number 4. And in that area, the LA County has a contract with WestMed for the providing of the service, or McCormick is also included in that. Just highlights of the Planning Commission recommendations relative to this particular proposal. The Planning Commission determined that the C1 zone was the most appropriate zone for an ambulance dispatch facility in that it has the highest daytime population. It allows for ambulance services in the central location in the city. It also would be compatible with uses within the downtown area, and in particular it would have access to, because it was centrally located, it would have access to all areas of the city. In making that determination, the Planning Commission also set up certain conditions that would be imposed on any request for ambulance dispatch service, and those would be a separation distance of 1,000 feet between locations, that street access would have to be provided via major arterial collector streets to contain at least 2 lanes, that warning signals or signage would have to be provided, that the staff, there would have to be a staff operations building on the site, and that the route of travel would also be contained to major corridors and only the use of residential or collector streets if necessary. And then finally, that there would be a condition with regard to siren use, and they would be have a certain curtail during the hours of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. and only in instances where the traffic needs to be clear. The City Council, after considering at its previous meeting the map data and ambulance service data, requested that the Los Angeles County Fire Department provide modeling data for response times that can be compared to the response time that was provided by WestMed McCormick. With that, in your staff reports, the LA County Fire Department provided us with some information. We looked at the comparison of maximum response times. In your report is actually about 4 maps that indicate the coverage, the call status over a quarterly basis from September to the present. And what you will note, as is depicted in your staff report, as well as this particular slide, is the concentration of calls that happen throughout the city. And as you'll note, the yellow and is the maximum response time of 8 minutes and 59 seconds. And this particular comparison shows what would occur if there was a shift of the location of the ambulance dispatch service. I think I just lost it. Ambulance dispatch service if it was shifted over into our M1 zone area. Okay. So that'll be consistent throughout all the slides that I'm going to be showing you relative to that. This is the December numbers, and you can see where the calls occur and what impact it would have in terms of the response time. Of particular, the LA County Fire Department requires that the ambulance services at the provider have a 92% success rate for that 8 minutes and 59 seconds, and so at least 92% of the time. And as you were aware at the last meeting, last hearing, the response time for McCormick, West Med McCormick is about 96 to 97%. All right, so essentially this is the modeling that was done relative to what would happen if there was a shift in the location or the proposed location. The existing location that is being considered is right in the heart of downtown in the C1 zone, and as you'll note with the coverage times that you only run into the maximum amount of time for response on what would be on the eastern portion of the city. Now that's our existing ambulance coverage, and this battery doesn't want to work right. I keep doing it, probably keep doing it. This is if there was a shift of the location and it was just allowed in the M1 area. There would be a large portion of the city, in the western portion of the city, that would exceed the response times required by the LA County Fire Department. It doesn't like me, so go ahead. It's not just me. Yeah, can you? Thank you, Sabrina. All right. With that being said, staff was attempting to be able to show by the data that was provided by modeling provided by the Los Angeles County Fire Department, as well as the data that was provided by West Med McCormick, as well as the recommendation from the Planning Commission that that with the opportunity to be able to have ambulance dispatch services in the C1 zone, it would provide for excellent response times with regard to dispatched ambulance services. So with that, that concludes staff's presentation. Staff is available for any questions.
Okay, before we go further, are there any members of the LA County Fire Department, Chief Claus, or anyone that would have any information that you would deem relevant to this public hearing? I'm not asking you to, but I'm just asking you if you thought you did.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad that you have our information. Mayor, council members, I'm Luke Claus. I'm the assistant fire chief who's responsible for the city of Inglewood. You contract with us. Sorry. You contract with us. We're our contractor. Just to clarify a couple things, the County of Los Angeles does the contracting with the ambulance services. They divide it up and they contract it out. McCormick happens to be your provider in this area. It's not the LA County Fire Department that does the contracting necessarily. We certainly have our say with it. And to that, you're getting very good service from the McCormick ambulance company. They provide their service in 3 out of 3 separate stations, and they do a great job of covering the city. Unfortunately, I think if they are, we use that 430 ISIS address to model that. What you could see with those triangles, and the coverage on the east end of your city would definitely be I think suffer from that. And that's really essentially what I have to say. I'd encourage you to go with that and keep them where they are, because I think that would serve your city.
Thank you, Chief.
If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay, we may later.
Okay.
Are there any persons present who wish to address the City Council on this matter?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Joe Chubley, and I am the CEO of McCormick Ambulance. I'm here to clarify the emergency services that McCormick provides in the city of Inglewood. Basically, there was a question, I think, from somebody from the city about whether or not the ambulances are dispatched at the same time and what their role was in the emergency response program. Basically, the way it works is when the county fire gets dispatched, McCormick Ambulance gets dispatched simultaneously. We provide the transport component, they provide the paramedic services, and depending on who gets there first, emergency care is started as soon as the first on-scene unit arrives. We are all trained at the same certification, whether it be emergency medical technician or paramedic. So if we arrive on scene and someone was bleeding, McCormick EMTs would begin to stop the bleeding the same way the fire department EMTs would stop the bleeding. If they weren't breathing, we perform CPR on the patient. We do all the emergency medical procedures necessary to sustain life. When the fire department arrives, they would either take over, and then we would become the transport component for that. So I thought it was important that you know that we are an integral part of the EMS network in the city of Inglewood. And I'm also available for questions if you have any.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much.
Ms. Austin. Hi.
Hello, welcome back.
Thank you.
I need to ask a question here on the paramedic side. When we have emergencies at 911 come out, why are the fire trucks, all the trucks in McCormick? Could you get them to answer, isn't that costly on the taxpayers? Because they have the paramedics out, then they have the whole street with like 3, 4, 5 trucks. And we can't seem to understand why is that. Why are we paying for the fire trucks when we have the paramedics and McCormick? So maybe they could explain that to us?
That's a very good question. When it comes time to question, I'll ask it for you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Any further public comment? Thank you. We'll close public comment. Is there a motion for 2, 3, and 4?
I make a motion, and at the appropriate time, I'll introduce as well.
All right.
So the motion is for 2 and 3.
Correct.
And
Okay.
I second.
All right. Mr. City Attorney, do we have to do the motion to waive further reading first, or can it be done as a package?
Actually, what we should do is move to adopt the negative declaration first.
All right.
I so move.
And I'll amend my second to second.
Madam City Clerk?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I had a question that I wanted to ask.
Oh, certainly. Go ahead.
The first question would be to McCormick, Mr. Chidley. My question is that, you know, I feel your business is an outstanding business, and my only issue is the location. That is all it is, simply. I'm concerned about you being able to. Have you been able to determine how you're going to make a left turn from your driveway?
We've already included in our policy that we won't make a left turn in the driveway application.
I didn't hear you. What?
We've already included in our policy that we will not make left turns out of the driveway onto Hillcrest from Hillcrest property.
Okay, so then, how, Mr. Jackson, then, if you cannot make a left turn from this facility, then how does that coincide with your criteria that states here? It states street access depart from the site via a major arterial, minor arterial, or a collector street that contains at least 2 lanes width in both directions. In both directions. If they're only able to exit that driveway in one direction, Mr. Jackson, then how can you present this to council as even being in accordance with what you've presented to us here?
Well, just first thing is the issue that is being addressed for the hearing and for the determination relative to the zoning code amendment is to modify the zoning standards to allow for a entity to be able to apply for a special use permit. This does not address this particular service provider, even though we are having discussions about this particular one.
Mr. Jackson, For me, it's not a matter, as I stated, they're an outstanding company. It is not the company, it's the location. States very clearly, special use permit required for ambulance dispatch services in the C1 zone, special conditions for approval. Street access. Ambulances depart from the site via a major arterial. Now, we're talking about Hillcrest Avenue, Hillcrest Drive, with the huge trees, the beautiful trees. Minor arterial or a collector street that contains at least two lane widths in both directions of travel. Both directions of travel. Because of the medium that is in the center, that is about 3-4 feet wide, the huge, what are those, oak trees there, right behind Bruno's, you do not have, in my opinion, you do not have a street that contains at least two lane widths in both directions of travel. So my question is, how, based upon this, does this qualify as a viable location for McCormick? If they do not have two lane widths in both directions. Remember, the northern side is separated by the medium in the center. The grass, 4 feet of grass, the huge tree. How do you justify this?
Well, and I don't want to be redundant, but the issue is the criteria that was established by the Planning Commission. They determined certain criteria, determined what those standards that they would like to see imposed on any applicant who would come forward to be able to operate a ambulance dispatch service in the C1 zone, and there was a determination by the Planning Commission that those standards would be the standards that they would apply. Now, with that, if there was an assumption that this council would approve this particular modification, McCormick would need to apply for a special use permit, and then those conditions would, or those standards would be applied to that particular location. So that would be something that would have to be addressed at the time that there's a special use permit application.
When we approve this, will they be able to operate from this location?
No.
They will not be able to?
No. Not until a special use permit is obtained by McCormick.
But when this is issued, the special use permit required for ambulance dispatch services in the C1 zone, this is the issue that is here before us now.
Correct.
Okay. What is before us now is special use permit required for ambulance dispatch services in the C1 zone, special conditions for approval.
Correct.
All right? You do not have access both directions. So why would, once again, why would the planning department even enter?
Councilman Stevens, you're at time. I'm going to give you another minute though, sir. If you choose.
I have another question.
Start the time in a minute.
And this is, and the question that I have is this. It states here, it says siren use. The use of sirens be limited during the hours of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Can you define for me what is limited, Mr. Jackson?
Well, the issue of these conditions that would be opposed on an approval for an ambulance dispatch service, the commission would have the ability to determine what level of siren activity could occur at particular locations in the C1 zone. So under these particular conditions, the commission would determine what limitations would be imposed or conditions would be imposed on those entities that are applications that were seeking approval. Now, I would say that the hours and the limited aspect takes in consideration that as a ambulance dispatch service, they have to make certain determinations at a moment's notice. And so it's their responsibility to determine whether or not those sirens are necessary or not. And the idea behind the commission's condition is that any entity that is seeking to get approval from the Planning Commission, say at the Planning Commission level, would be aware of the fact that there were residential or potential impact to residential areas or commercial businesses
So
in
the
the area.
planning commission is what has facilitated this to this point, correct?
In combination with city staff. City staff
Okay.
compose
So I just
and
want to read this
consider.
and then I'm done.
Okay,
An
no,
ordinance-
sir. We're at time. We're at time, sir. All right, there's a motion on the floor.
Actually, you said that you would ask the fire department, county fire, with regard to responding to our citizens. Could you do that prior to us having further
Okay,
discussion?
good. Well, could Chief Kloss, I'm sorry to bring you back, but the real quick question is one of deployments. You know, and this is something that most of the public has very limited understanding of, is why when we have fire department paramedic response and yet ambulance response, and sometimes in combination. And if you would just briefly go over the protocols for how that dispatching occurs.
That is a typical question that we get. When a person calls, picks up the phone, dials 911, and asks for emergency medical service for someone who's unconscious, weak injury, stroke, heart attack, difficulty breathing, we send out our responses. We don't have paramedics in every station, so we send out the fire engine, which has emergency medical technicians on it, sometimes paramedics. They go out, and the idea is they can get there the fastest. And they can get there the fastest if it's not at a station with the paramedic squad. Paramedic squad is there, then they come too. They get there, they can start treatment. In the case of heart attack, where somebody's heart's not beating, in 6 minutes you can start to get brain death. So we want to get somebody there as fast as we can. So we attempt to get people there as fast as we can, see what the problem is, start to act on the problem. The paramedics come in, and then the ambulance comes in. The paramedics can come in, they can treat at a higher level than generally than the people on the fire engine, although that's not always true. They can treat at a higher level, so they would do the advanced life support treatment. And then the ambulance with the paramedics then go to the hospital, treat. We don't, the LA County Fire Department uses a mode where we use a paramedic squad, which is the small truck that you might see in the city. And we use that as a way to get our people around. And a lot of times what happens is that if you only have to go in the ambulance and the paramedics don't need to go with you and an EMT can go, then they'll go like that. Then those paramedics are available for another call. So it's just, it often seems like a lot, especially at night when everyone's lights are flashing, it always seems like a lot of people there. But as soon as they go available, then they're ready to go on another call. So then they can, it's just
Just as a final clarification, Chief, the primary mission in these paramedic responses is quickness of response because of the danger when people are not breathing, loss of brain life. So you want to be there in that 6-minute window. That's one. Two, you want to use the most effective and efficient apparatus to handle the problem once the apparatus arrives. And that's the reason for your protocols.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, Mayor, if I may, I do believe, if I may, with regard to the public's question, and actually it's been asked of me as well, it's a medical emergency, but yet there's so many vehicles. I mean, the fire trucks, and sometimes several fire trucks are there in addition to the paramedics and the ambulance. That's the question that we get posed, and I think is more to the point. It's not just the paramedic or the ambulance doubling up. It's about the fire trucks and those vehicles. That I think that's what she's talking about, being, looks like it's very expensive.
Absolutely. And our people are cross-trained. They're firefighters as well as emergency medical personnel as well. They're trained in both, so it's cross-trained, and they can do both.
Right.
So
Madam-
even if you had paramedics on another vehicle, you'd still send out, say, a ladder truck or something of that nature?
Actually, we, in the, down 108th and Crenshaw, there is a paramedic on the ladder truck. There's a ladder truck and an engine that follows it, which is great for fires. And it goes out on emergency medical runs, and it has a paramedic on it, and we can do, it's in fact the only one that we have in the county fire department, but it works.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk.
Actually, no,
Councilmember Stevens.
No, wait a minute. The councilwoman has another question.
Yes, but not for you, but thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, for staff. What alternative locations were presented for consideration after our last public hearing on this matter?
Generally, the modeling, as I understand, was done looking at the ISIS location, and which would be at the western end of the city, which is the M1 area, because there was a determination that in previous determinations by staff that ambulance dispatch services were allowed by right in the M1 zone.
Well, then that wouldn't have, actually, that doesn't respond to my question then, because they're allowed by right. That doesn't answer my question, which was, obviously, this is some zoning code amendments to allow the ambulance services. So I'm saying where else, not where it's already allowed, because nothing would be before us if that were completely satisfactory. I think this council asked for an alternative location where we may have to do an amendment, but where it's currently not allowed. So what did you come up with?
Well,
It hasn't been brought to us today.
Yeah, I believe that the Planning Commission looked at the different zone options that were available. Obviously, we have our C2, C3, CS zones, and
Well, if I may, with regard to specific locations, what location was brought before the Planning Commission as a potential alternative? What location, where it's not currently permitted, was brought before the Planning Commission for their evaluation?
the Planning Commission did not consider locations. The
So
Planning
nothing-
Commission
well-
considered zones.
Okay, well, the reason I'm saying that is, obviously, a zone reflects locations, and I'm saying that we were concerned last time because it has a potential of being in a heavily residential area, and the potential, because we have been looking for a number of years at mixed use in this particular area you're referencing this evening. So I believe that you were asked to come up with a potential alternative, and it sounds to me like that was never considered.
The response of the staff report was to the issue of the modeling relative to the LA County Fire Department.
Okay, actually, I'm talking about us, our staff, presenting something to the Planning Commission as an alternative, which would be satisfactory. Another question I wanted to, with regard to this, you keep talking about, obviously, a special use permit would have to be considered, and that would be considered by the Planning Commission. It would probably never come to the council unless it was appealed,
Right.
whatever that decision is. So we might never see it. What would be the grounds by which a special use permit would be denied?
Well, the findings that are required by the special use permit section of our code sets forth that the use is consistent in the area, it is harmonious in the area.
Okay, well, since I have limited time, I'm saying specifically, because when you say to the public, a special use permit is required, it gives the public a misperception that it's pretty easy to deny this, we don't have to do it if we don't want to, and that's not really the case. Meaning, tell me some specific things with regard to a special use permit application, not for this company, of course, but just in general, a special use permit process.
Well, I can tell you what I've experienced as far as the Planning Commission's determinations when they have denied.
With regard to ambulance service in this particular zone, what would have to be on the table for it to be denied?
The Planning Commission would have to make a determination that the use
But
is
what are
not consistent in the zone.
Councilwoman, we're at time. We're at time.
Well, actually, if I just may have the same time as my colleague.
Actually gave you some of mine and another minute of your own. So
Thank you.
we're at time. We're at time. No, we closed public comment. I'm sorry, sir. All right, Madam City Clerk.
Council members, Stevens.
No.
Excuse me, repeat the motion, please.
It's just to adopt the negative declaration. Dunlap.
Abstain.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye.
Motion to waive for the read.
I so move. Second.
Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Council members.
Motion to waive further reading?
Yes.
Okay, I'll follow up with my question, Mayor, to our staff person. Specifically, with regard to the language in this item before us, specifically, what would have to be on the table for a special use permit to be denied by planning? Specifically.
That information would not be a determination by staff. That would be a determination by the Planning Commission.
Oh, if I said staff, I meant Planning Commission. Please give me an example whereby the Planning Commission, for the public's information with regard to a special use permit being denied, what might be the criteria for an ambulance service to be denied a special use permit?
Well, I think as I indicated before, the Commission could make a determination that the location is not conducive to an ambulance
Well, if we make
dispatch
But
facility.
if this zoning code amendment is adopted this evening, this council and staff have already said it is appropriate. So I don't believe the Planning Commission can say it's not appropriate if they've already said it is appropriate.
Mayor and City Council, I think what you're hearing from staff is that we're talking about hypotheticals right now, and at this time we're not aware of a hypothetical situation that might require that our dictate that it be denied.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty clear that we don't have the answer to that question at this moment, so I'd rather go
I'll
on.
continue my remarks. And that is this, Mr. Fields, oftentimes the public is told, well, they need a special use permit, Planning Commission can deny it. They go to the Planning Commission can't deny it because the amendment already says it's appropriate use of that land, that property or that particular site, whether it's ambulance or something else. So I believe we need to keep the public fully informed as to their rights as a community. I've been in many Planning Commission meetings whereby people actually think they can object to a special use permit and prevail, and yet they're told they can't prevail because it's already been granted. And this negative declaration pretty much says it's permitted. All I'm asking for is some... Mr. Fields, why don't you just share that with us?
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
What I was suggesting is that maybe the commission could take up your question at a meeting and come up with some conditions by which the item could be denied.
Well, actually, Mr. Fields, the Planning Commission are lay people. It's staff that would have to, and actually the staff that typically comes up with, if there's a resolution to deny or a resolution that adopts a special use permit, it's staff that comes up with the criteria. They present those ideas and those thoughts to the Planning Commission, who are lay people. It is not the Planning Commission who comes up with them completely on their own. Some of them are experienced enough as they know certain things they can use, like traffic, for instance, things of that nature. First, a couple of general items, but staff knows them well because that's what they do for a living. And I'm just saying that I just believe that the public, when they're told, oh, they have to get a special use permit, the public should really understand that that pretty much means it's going to happen. It's not going to be denied, because even right here, we can't even come up with the ideas as to why it be denied. And it's not that I'm opposed, once again, to McCormick even being in these areas. I think the negative declaration, I would question that, because like I said, eventually the city of Inglewood would like housing there. I think staff was requested to come up with an alternative location, if my recollection serves me, at the last council, and apparently that did not happen, meaning another area in the city that would meet the needs. And of course, the needs of the community are, of course, that they want good response times, of course, for emergency personnel, of course. McCormick has done an excellent job in serving the community, but I think there should be more of a balance between what else is there out there, and that hasn't been presented to us. Doesn't mean I'm not going to considering approving it when it comes up. I'm just saying that staff did not bring to us an alternative location, as I had hoped they would, and I do believe this council requested. And when this comes back before us again, it would be appreciated, Mr. Fields, if there could be some criteria brought forward with regard to potential rejection of an SUP, just for the public's information, so that we can all be better educated on this process. Thank you very much.
Mayor and City Council.
Councilman Morales.
Okay.
I'd just like to briefly state, in regards to the actual process, I believe the special use process actually works. And to be completely clear, the reason that staff probably had an issue coming up with a specific reason is because it's very general in nature. It actually gives the Planning Commission a very ample opportunity to say, hey, you know what? I live near there. This doesn't fit here. okay? And persuade and encourage the rest of the planning commission to go along with that thought. Equally to date, we could say no. We've had situations where the special use permit was to come forward and the planning commission says something fits, comes up here, we say on appeal, we say it doesn't fit, okay? Those are two different decisions with the same criteria. Now, if the process itself did not allow us to bring in our own thoughts, beliefs, and opinions and comments from the public, we would constantly have the same decision. Doesn't happen. The special use permit allows that process to really be encouraged of thought in terms of the council, where we stand in our opinion. For instance, I'll go back and just take the beauty salon or the nail salon over on Crenshaw that was 300 feet, wasn't 300 feet from the front door of another one. It got here on appeal, and by law it looked like, yeah, you couldn't get it. But because we really did weigh a lot of the different facts about how far it was from the front door, what type it was, what level it was, we took those opinions and we gave that person the permit. That's what the special use process is. So the fact that there are not outlined specific reasons for us to either accept or deny a special use permit actually gives the city the greatest amount of leverage and authority to say, hey, it just doesn't fit, period. So I just wanted to clarify that that's how I see it. And sir, can you correct me if I'm wrong?
Correct.
It's correct. Thank you. Those are my comments. Thank you.
And just very briefly, there was questions asked by the council at the last meeting that has been answered tonight.
Yeah.
And specifically, we requested response times. Staff identified that the location where McCormick currently operates is a best use location for response time in the C1 area, because if you moved it, it would then generate a more noisier pollution what was housed by residents. And so they've already asked and answered this. So I remember that quite well. And so my concern, and I shared with everyone before, I don't care how noisy it is. If it means it's going to save my life or someone else's life, bring it on. Yeah. And that I'm not being selfish. I'm identifying that this is exclusive operating areas on which McCormick is allowed to function at the request of the county. And the other question was raised by the community, and that was the charges that was being imposed by McCormick as opposed to maybe the county fire. I did want to clarify, the county sets the regulation as to the price, and they uniformly apply that. It's not based upon what the council may want, it's what the county identifies it is, and that this is a very significant issue. I thank McCormick for even having interest in wanting to be in here, and also knowing that when it comes to public safety, that they're within a moments of a call. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, and all I want to say is, Mr. Jackson, you did answer the questions that I recall we asked at the prior hearing, and I want to thank Chief Kloss and the LA County Fire people and the McCormick's gentlemen, because you've been patient, informative, and very erudite. So thank you very much. Madam City Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, I've had my hand up several times here. We made a motion, so I would also like to have a comment here. Mr. Saunders, the city attorney, is there anything written inside of the text of this document that we are approving, addressed for this in reference to the ambulance service? Is there anything in this modification that prevents an ambulance company from being parked anywhere in this city waiting for a service call?
I'm not sure. I think Mr. Jackson is in a better position, the department having looked closely at this than I don't know that it does, but he may be more familiar than I am about any prohibition on parking. I don't know that this deals with parking of the vehicles.
Okay, I will just say this, because what I'm finding is that I may be issued 5 minutes, but 4.5 minutes is basically staff speaking. And though I wish to have your input, I would also like to be able to ask my questions, because I have follow-up questions. So since we do not pause the clock for council members while staff is speaking, I'm just going to simply state this. My interpretation of this document pretty much makes it where, in order for any competitor to operate here in the city of Inglewood, he has to operate from a dispatch facility. He has to operate specifically from a structure. The next issue that I believe affects the public is the fact that this facility, for the public so that they will know, sits directly behind Bruno's Hamburgers at Manchester and Hillcrest. Now, when you exit this facility, because of the medium in the center, you cannot make a left turn and travel north. There's a huge medium there, and you then have to travel about 20 feet, 30 feet, make a U-turn at Vaughn's entryway, and then travel north. Now, once you travel north and you arrive at your first intersection, which is Manchester, there's a sign there that says no right turn. And the reason for that sign being there that says no right turn is because you have traffic that is traveling eastbound on Manchester when that light is red. So in order to get to a person in an emergency situation, they would have to enter that intersection on a red, and that is a blind turn. And so once again, it states very clearly, and what we're approving here, ladies and gentlemen, is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Inglewood, California, adopting a negative declaration and approving zoning code amendment to amend Articles 1, 6, and 7, 11, and 25 of Chapter 12 of the Inglewood Municipal Code to modify ambulance dispatch facility regulations. This is what we're voting on. This is in no way hypothetical, Mr. Fields. This is what we're doing. This is it. And what we're doing here, in fact, in my opinion, is that we are undermining what we are seeing our vision of the future for Inglewood. We've discussed mixed use on Market Street, redeveloping it as mixed use housing in the surrounding areas. Would anyone here wish to purchase a new condominium townhouse next to an ambulance dispatch facility? I wouldn't. So now what we're actually doing here is we're undermining what we're actually attempting to accomplish here long term, because once this special use permit is issued, that's in stone. That's it. They would have to commit some type of egregious crime of some sort, violation of some sort, in order for it to be revoked. And so I just would like for my colleagues to reconsider this, and if we could possibly put this off, and perhaps next time, as I had requested at the last meeting of Ms. Tatum, bring photographs of the intersection. I specifically asked Ms. Tatum to bring photographs of that intersection to show exactly what that intersection looks like, what that exiting of that driveway looks like. And so with 23 seconds left, I would just like to ask my colleagues, I would like to move that we table this item at this time.
Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Stevens?
We're waiving further reading?
Yes, sir.
I'll waive further reading. Aye.
Dunlap?
Aye.
Morales?
Aye.
Franklin?
Aye.
Mayor Buds?
Aye.
Morales?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Consent calendar.
Can we just go back to PH1? I just want to get a consensus from the council that we will be continuing this on a public hearing on October the 30th.
So moved.
Second.
That's not necessary.
Okay. Yes, we will continue to that.
Stevens?
Aye.
Dunlap?
Aye.
Morales?
Aye.
Franklin?
Aye.
Mayor Buds?
Aye. Consent calendar, items 2, 3, and 4.
I so
Move
moved.
approval of 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Dunlap?
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. 01.
Staff report recommending adoption of an ordinance number 1220 approving zoning code amendments number 2012-05 to add adult daycare as a use in the R3 multifamily zone, subject to special use permit approval, and to add accessory unenclosed parking as a permitted use in the R1 zone.
Motion to waive further reading.
Second.
Madam City.
Councilmember Stevens.
Abstain.
Dunlap.
Oh, excuse me. Aye.
Dunlap.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye.
I'll adopt the ordinance.
Thank
Move
you.
adoption.
I move adoption.
Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Stevens.
Abstain.
Dunlap.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. CM1.
No verbal reports, Mayor.
A1.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. There was a closed session held as to CS1, closed session confidential conference with labor negotiators under Government Code Section 54957.6A, Employee Organization, Service Employees International Union, Inglewood Management Employees Organization, Inglewood Executive Organization, Inglewood Police Officers Association, Inglewood Police Management Association, Inglewood Police Civilian Management Association, negotiators for the city, Artie Field, city manager, and Jack Hoffman, chief negotiator in human resources and labor consultant. Discussions were held, however, no final action was taken, and that concludes the reports out of closed session for this evening.
A2.
No verbal reports.
CC1, Madam City
No
Clerk.
reports. Thank you.
Convene the City of Inglewood as a successor agency.
A
Madam
quorum
City
is
Clerk.
present.
CSA 2.
Approval of the minutes held September 11th, 2012.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Agency members, Stevens.
Aye.
Dunlap.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. Adjourn the City of Inglewood as a successor agency. Convene the Inglewood Housing Authority.
A quorum is present.
H2.
Approval of the minutes of the meetings held on July 24th, 31st, August 14th, 21st, 28th, and September 11th.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Agency members, Stevens.
Aye.
Dunlap.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. Adjourn the Inglewood Housing Authority. Convene the Inglewood Public Financing Authority. Call the roll, please.
Quorum is present.
F1.
Approval of the minutes of the meetings held on July 31st, August 14th, 28th, and September 11th.
Move approval.
Second.
Move approval to, Morales
Ag-
seconds.
Okay, agency members, Stevens.
Aye.
Dunlap.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Chairman Butts.
Aye. We're going to go on to the council initiatives. The time for the presentation is 5 minutes. The time for the response by council members will be 3 minutes.
Quorum is present.
Excuse me, Mayor. Actually, we have a video that I'd like to be shown, which is almost 5 minutes, and then I would like to make a presentation, which I don't think would be over 3 minutes, but since the council initiatives by our Inglewood Municipal Code are 10 minutes, and we have such a short meeting, it's not even 8 o'clock, I would appreciate if members of this body be given their full allotment of time as the municipal code permits for us, if you would.
If the body wants to overrule me, a motion can be
Well, I'm
made.
actually, you're the chair, and I'm appealing to you with regard to allowing appropriate time for the video as well as.
Councilman Dunlap, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. You can use it on the video, or you can use it on
No,
the
actually,
presentation.
well, Mr. Fields had already said that he would use it part of the presentation, so then I don't need more than 5 minutes for my actual remarks.
Is this agendized, Mr. Field, this presentation?
No, this is not agendized for a staff report, and I'm
Okay.
not prepared to give a staff report.
Excuse me?
The staff report is not on the agenda
Okay.
tonight.
You know what, Mayor, if you want to hold this off till next week, that's fine, I'll hold it again.
All right.
There's a real problem when I have a discussion with the city manager. I asked him to make just a minute or two verbal remarks. He was at the Endeavor
Okay,
activity,
would you
excuse me,
start the time, please?
I'm not talking on that, now I'm talking with regard to the time. And I'm saying he made a commitment to make a brief report. I told him he could say whatever he was inclined to say. He might want to respond to the member of the public
Okay.
with regard to the press.
Okay.
All right, then I move to overrule the chair and to give each member of this body the 10 minutes as allotted by the municipal code.
Madam City Clerk?
I'll second that.
Council members Stevens,
Aye.
Dunlap,
Aye.
Morales,
No.
Franklin,
No.
Mayor Budd.
No.
Comment, Mayor?
Yes, sir?
But you know, I just don't, my concern is that we have an item on the agenda with no content for us to weigh your proposal, council member of District 2. So therefore, I'm in a void of not knowing what's there to determine whether or not your recommendation has merit or weight, other than the fact that you want the time. So that's why I'm in dilemma about honoring your request when I know that there's no written report, nor there's no staff report, because it's a council initiative, nor should it be a staff report. So I just want to comment on that. Thank you.
And equally, Mayor, if I may, I just wanted to comment on the fact that if there's any video, you know, if I'm going to approve that it be shown, I'd like to see the video. I'd like to know where we're going with this, and so that I'm prepared to comment on it. So, you know, I'll take a look at it if it's sent to me, and I'll let you know.
All right. All right, we're going to start Councilwoman's time.
First off, I don't know where all this censorship came from. No one has
Wait-
to approve
Wait a minute,
any.
I didn't get to read the initiative.
Well, she said she was going to wait for next week.
Please.
Oh, we're using.
You've already used your time. Thank you.
No.
Actually, you have.
We haven't even called the item. I haven't used my time on the item.
Madam City Clerk, read the...
Initiative by Council Member Dunlap recommending a staff debriefing on the Space Shuttle Endeavour migration mission through the city of Inglewood and related events thereto.
Right, Madam City.
All right. Actually, considering this was such a spectacular event in the city of Inglewood, I don't understand why my colleagues don't want to talk about something that Inglewood received such positive publicity for. I really don't understand it. And Mr. Fields, when you speak to a member of this body and make a commitment to make a 1 or 2 minute talk about the positive aspects of the endeavor going through the city of Inglewood, then at the council meeting deny that you want to speak, I have a real concern about that. And also with regard to the video, I will use my time, Mayor, to show the video, and then I'll put this on the agenda next week for my remarks. Because the video actually has to do with the DWP in the city of Los Angeles, and I wanted to speak to Southern California Edison, as well as make some positive remarks about the endeavor going through the city of Inglewood. But if you don't want to hear these positive remarks, my colleagues don't want to hear them, and they've already said they want to see what I'm presenting before I'm presenting. That's censorship at its worst, and I'm really kind of appalled by it. These meetings are not about control, it's about dissemination of information. This is a very positive report I hoped our city manager would make. I had nothing but positive remarks to make with regard to the city, with regard to the people who came out. My constituents had a wonderful time, and I wanted to speak to that. Well, now there isn't even time for the DVD. So you know what? I'm going to show it next week. I don't care, Mayor, if you want to give me 2 minutes for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. I will get my remarks out with regard to the endeavor. It was a spectacular event, and I'm sorry no one here in the body wants to talk about it. Thank you.
Mayor.
Councilman
Oh, go
Morales.
ahead. Go first. No, you can go first.
Councilman Morales.
It was a wonderful meeting last week. That's all I can say. But you go first, Mr. Morales.
Did you say you want?
No, I'm going to allow you to go. I'm trying to try
Okay,
to.
thanks. I appreciate it. Listen, we're going to all take a time to tell you what we thought about the event. I have to say it was one of the best days for Inglewood in a very long time. As my time as a council person, it's got to rank up there as the most special day, where we had 24 hours of very positive, news media outlets constantly talking about the city of Inglewood, constantly talking about the organization that was down the street. A lot was being said about how people were going to be deprived of looking at it. I had the honor of walking some of the streets, even with some family members, and it was just amazing to see how positive it was. Ultimately, it was culminated at the forum with an event that took place, which I believe was the nicest one in regards to the final journey for the endeavor, where our city got a chance to honor it thanks to the help of the forum. But I'd like to also point out the fact that we can go back and forth as to how we could have perfected that day. But I have to say that staff from Mr. Fields to Mr. Falco on down, Mawuzi, Sabrina, Teresa, you know, and just countless folks did such a great job to really put that organization together, not knowing how many thousands of people were going to come out. And, you know, the police department did an amazing job, I mean, without incident. So for us, I'm sure we all have an opinion as to how the day went. But I have to tell you, I mean, it's difficult to put a 50-person meeting together. Something's going to go wrong. Somebody's going to order the wrong food. There won't be enough chairs, et cetera, et cetera. And when you have an event of that magnitude and to pull it off the way it was, you know, was amazing. I commend everybody that was involved, and I was just proud to be part of it, a small part. So those are my comments, and I want to thank staff. Thank you, and the police department.
Councilman Stevens.
I'd just like to say that I appreciate the recognition, Mr. Mayor, that you gave me. I was not present at that event. At the event itself, I was on Crenshaw Drive assisting residents who had their power discontinued for until about 2:15. But what I would like to say is this: is that I would like to propose to all of us, to all of you, that we rename Crenshaw Drive Endeavor Lane. One thing that was obvious was the sheer scope of the space shuttle Endeavor. The wingspan was actually over the sidewalks, and as it traveled through, people, even though they were somewhat inconvenienced, it really sunk home the magnitude of what was accomplished in bringing this vehicle up Crenshaw Drive. So I will be bringing forward a measure that will, hopefully you will support. I hope that you will, and you see it, renaming of Crenshaw Drive Endeavor Lane. And I think that would be befitting for such an event. Southern California Edison, they surprised me. They were able to get everyone's power turned back on. 2:30, 2:15, everyone was getting their power. Everybody was happy. Everything went very smoothly on their end. Few bumps in the road, but overall it was a nice event. But I'm going to conclude with that. But there were other issues, but it was overall a positive event.
Thank you, Councilman Franklin.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I don't need a council initiative to reflect on the endeavor. We all have 3 minutes at the very end, and we have a chance to expound on our reflection as to what happened. And we're talking about transparency, in which is requested by the community. And so when you read a council initiative said recommending a staff debriefing, there's a concern about what message are you really sending. If you want to talk about it, you can reflect about what actually transpired in your perspective. But I have to say that it was a very memorable experience for my wife and my 2 daughters and my granddaughter that was there, and a number of the community people that spoke to me and said this was an awesome experience. You had to be there to enjoy it. I can't say enough to the staff for their professionalism, and so Mr. City Administrator, please convey that to the various departments that did have a hand in this, particularly your administration, your Public Works Department, the Police Department, and I can't say enough about Parks and Recs. It was a challenging experience. And yeah, the utility companies also came to play, and when I got notified at 1:30 in the afternoon, Southern California Edison had concluded all of their commitments for the city. It was outstanding and without incident. And so I appreciate the mayor's comments on at the program, that he said this is not ups and downs, it's all ups. And that's the way I'm going to focus this way. I'm going to stay that way. And it was an upbeat for this city. The city will be reimbursed for all the costs that was involved. The trees will, in fact, be replanted. We went through that before. We have an MOU to reflect that, and for years to come that they're going to be responsible, including the irrigation portion of it as well. So I'm elated to see that this thing went smoothly compared to what happened in Los Angeles. And I'm just so tickled that the timeline, in fact, I even got startled to see that the shuttle was waiting on me. The orbiter was already there at the forum when I got there before 8 o'clock in the morning. And so hats off, and I know there's a lot of logistic issues that was involved, a lot of planning, replanning, and replanning, and replanning, but the execution was a success, and my hat's off to everyone that was involved. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. You know, I want to take just a moment. This is an undertaking that's been in the making for over a year. There are some people that have been with it for that year. Ms. McDade from my office, Mosey Watson, Sabrina Barnes, Harry Frisbee, and some of his people. And there was a lot of controversy about why should this happen, about the trees and so on and so forth. And I felt and I believed that this was something, our opportunity to take a position on a national stage. I felt that the upside of them replacing our trees 2 for 1, getting rid of a lot of trees that were actually eyesores, replacing our irrigation systems down Manchester along with some landscaping, and the financing of our event that we moved to the Forum so that we would have enough room. We had 15,000 people at the Forum. We had another 5,000 people along Manchester throughout the night, meaning 20,000 people were interested enough to come to the city of Inglewood to hear about something extremely positive. We were covered by CNN, World News Tonight, and it was all about what a wonderful thing was happening in Inglewood. And it should be noted, of all the Shuttle Endeavor events, the one in Baldwin Hills Plaza, the one at the Science Center, and the one in Inglewood, Inglewood was the only one where the shuttle was present, because it was 5 hours late every place else. Now, I feel bad about that, but what I'm trying to say is we didn't really have to talk ad infinitum to say something is good. There are some things that went wrong. I'm sorry the gentleman that got denied his press opportunity was here. That was one glitch. We also had some glitch with some of the parking passes, you know. This was an event where we had 15,000 people on a lot. This was an event that was planned and worked on by city staff, and for the most part, it went marvelously. So I want to thank everyone in the city that had a hand in this. I want to thank our public that came out. I want to thank people from surrounding communities that came out to help us celebrate and take our rightful position on national stage. I want to reinforce with people that it is these types of opportunities to let the world see Inglewood as a place that is on the move, that has things of value. And the fact that the Endeavor came through our city for such a successful event is evidence of that. So thank you very much. Public comments. Any persons wishing to address the City Council at this time on any matter may do so.
I'm going to comment about the ambulance. I kind of missed my term. So if they're on M1, which is allowable use, and they're on ISIS, 430 ISIS, well, that block is constantly jammed with big rigs and rental car drop-offs. And all the tourists drive all around the area because that's where they're trying to find the rental cars. If you give them alternatives to C1, where that's where they're going anyways, by charge, it seems like they're going to C1. If you keep them out in M1, where they're going to run into all the rental company traffic on ISIS and everything else that goes on there, it's going to be, I think C1, you should do everything you can to encourage them to leave the M1 and go to C1, because there's no way you can get from ISIS to downtown without getting some problems over 405. Or just getting onto Manchester, making that right-hand turn where Advantage is. There's people trying to get in that, you know. I do it every day. It's a problem. So keeping them, even if by special use, you could make it so they don't go into certain areas, but having the noise from ISIS all the way across town to where the people are for that length of time, or having the noise from a few blocks, and I think it's a no-brainer. Okay, next, the Endeavor, fantastic. Fantastic. I happen to be on the East Coast. I'm there watching CNN and everything else. People all from all over the world are watching this. So that's great. What else do we have that's worthwhile seeing? We have the Forum, we have Hollywood Park, and we have the casino. The whole world has seen these things at one time or another. I would do everything in our power to get those things rejuvenated, bring the pride back to the neighborhood. And also the automobile industry, which we're working very diligently to get going. The auto mall is like a hair away. So let's, I don't know what we have left for redevelopment, call it whatever you want. Let's get the forum up and running with the Madison Square Garden guys. They're still here, and, by hook or by crook. If you let those jewels get away, you'll never get them back. Money comes and goes. Nobody will ever build another forum, another racetrack, another casino in this town. So do what you can, bring the pride back to the neighborhoods. I remember going to the Forum Club, and I remember all that stuff. That was part of our heritage. The Endeavor showed us that we could be great. Let's take the stuff that used to be great and just shine it up a little.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Joseph Texier, and I want to point out the illegal and un-American ways that IPD and this council have tried to hide the undeniable proof of the dangerous IPD misconduct I began describing 13 months ago when I first asked the council to force IPD to improve its policies and procedures to better protect Inglewood's residents from violent crimes. I requested public records from IPD, including 911 tapes that proved that the night my neighbor's son and his friend were the victims of a shooting, IPD repeatedly refused to investigate, saying that shooting a gun out of a car wasn't really a crime, but telling me to collect bullet shells for them. Those 911 tapes made IPD look so guilty that IPD captains and chiefs, the city clerk, the city attorney, and this entire council helped violate state law, keeping all those tapes hidden from the public for 9 months, and many to this very day. Last September, the mayor said that the tapes did exist, and Chief Seabrook said in December that she'd listened to the tapes. But in February, after I repeatedly exposed the violations of the law, the mayor said the tapes didn't exist. But later, IPD's Captain Sissick said they did exist. But after that, the city attorney, Chief Seabrooks, and Chief Honorata still failed to turn over all the records. And Mike Stevens, my councilman, protected himself, helping the law to be violated. Since the public never heard the tapes, the mayor, Seabrooks, and Sissick could tell lies about the shooting, meeting after meeting. And Sissick and the mayor even implied that the shooting never even happened. But after Seabrooks resigned, I finally got some of the tapes. So last Tuesday, in a special 4:45 council meeting, I played the first 911 tape showing an IPD officer making excuses for not investigating the shooting by implying that my neighbor's son and his friend deserved to be shot at, saying, quote, if this person is being shot at, there's a reason he's being shot at, unquote. This council was so afraid that the public would hear this and other 911 tapes, which exposed the council as being negligent or unethical, that at the 7 o'clock meeting, Eloy Morales, Mayor Pro Tem, in an illegal and un-American act, tried to censor me from playing any audio recordings ever again, which I've been doing since last year. Morales said that the Brown Act said it couldn't happen. This is the Brown Act. Let me tell you what the Brown Act says. On page 1, the people of this state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give their public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know, unquote. That's what the Brown Act says. So you can lie and deceive and try to violate the law just to hide misconduct. But my constitutional right is to use effective evidence, as effective as possible, to prove misconduct by this council and IPD, including this officer's statements. If he's being shot at, there's a reason he's being shot at.
No, stop it. He's not. We're not doing that.
You're allowed to speak.
You're not doing that. You're allowed to speak. Just move the mic.
I'm leaving.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, staff. Been all day in the 2nd District. I hope I can get this all in. I'll take it from the top. This Saturday, I'll remember all the days of my life. I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was just magical for me. I want to thank everyone involved. Can't thank everybody individually. I got less than 3 minutes, but you know who you are. Thank all of you. And I'm going to zero in on one person in particular, Mayor James Butts. You were absent Tuesday night, and rumors why you were. No one really knew anything. And I found out why Saturday. Sir, I salute you personally. You almost had a hearing of that injury that you got up to. See, that's called having a sense of history and destiny. That ship sitting beside you or behind you will live forever. Kind of like me, a little bit of more. And I hope that we can carry that on into the future, show what we can do when we work as a team. We don't have to, like I said, we don't have to all go out and have beers together afterwards, so, but we can work as a team. And with the rest of my time, I'm gonna dig you people with love. But you mentioned, but the gentleman here mentioned the automobile company. I feel very let down. The Endeavor was pulled across the 405 freeway by a truck called a Tundra. A what Tundra? A Toyota Tundra. How could we let that happen?
Yeah.
We bailed out GM and Chrysler, and specifically the UAW. They shouldn't have allowed, I know, Toyota, God bless you people, you give so much money to the California Science Center. But I think if we got a phone call in the end, if it came to it from this guy occupying the White House and said, listen, this is America's shining moment. We're not gonna have a Tundra pulling the space shuttle.
Amen.
We'll let GM, Chrysler, and Ford pool lots. And that's how it should have been. But I guess they didn't have a sense of history like our mayor did, a sense of destiny. And in closing, I'd say, thank God, like our mayor, on this past Sunday, something else special happened. A fellow that I had the wonderful opportunity to meet back in my aerospace days named Chuck Yeager celebrated the 65th anniversary of his breaking the sound barrier. Thank God he did it in a McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle and not a Russian MiG. Or, God forbid, a French Mirage. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your evening. Bask in your success. I'm praying for you. Thank you.
I want to follow up on my earlier speech. I found out that that officer that told me that I couldn't come in was Gabriel Garcia, lieutenant, and the fact that she denied the press the access to the media, and I'm an Inglewood resident for almost 30 years, is just doesn't make sense. And the fact that she said major media, which means somebody like Channel 2, Channel 4, and all the way down the line to 13, whatever it is, had access, but didn't even use their access because they were out in the streets doing interviews, including CNN. The stage was full of Endeavor press people, and there was like so much room on the dais that she had 100 wristbands for access to the press, and I couldn't get one of them. And the reason I bring this up again is because of the freedom of speech issue, and there was no reason. I'm a taxpayer, and I can't take a picture of the Endeavor. I've got security clearance from Clinton to Obama, and I can't live in my own city and take my own pictures. It doesn't make sense.
I very much apologize to you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff. I'd just like to say, when it's to Bailey, I'd just like to say that the Endeavor was for the city of Inglewood. The citizens acted in a very respectful manner that I think the world understands that we are not animals, that we are and can act in a very civilized manner, and that we are intelligent people. I would just like to say to the citizens of Inglewood, thank you. You did a great job. I'd like to say to the council and everybody involved in the event, thank you. You all did a great, outstanding job. Like I said, there have been hiccups, but this is a one-time event. This will never happen again in life. Nobody's gonna be pulling no shuttles down the streets. Thank God. But what we did well. I am a little upset about the towing of a foreign object on an American object, but from what I understood, money was at the heart of this. What can we say? We are in some very strange times when it comes to our economics in America, not just in one particular city. Any foreign entity that wants to give us some, it's okay. We understand the Endeavor was built in America. It will always be an American icon. It's going to be here in the city of Los Angeles. So what? A foreign company came and pulled it across the 405 freeway. After that, America took it. They're going to have a commercial. That's fine. But it will always be an American product made by U.S. citizens. And how they say it? Made in the USA is always going to be the best product on earth. For my last few seconds, I'm just going to say, Mr. Texiera, please stop bashing the Inglewood Police Department. You've been doing it for a whole year. You say the Justice Department is here. I don't see it. I'm in the police department every day. Okay? So, you can talk and talk and talk. But guess what? Deaf ears are listening. Thank you and have a great evening. Have a good week.
Thank you. Ms. Austin, did you have any comments?
Excuse me. Hello. You know, I wanted to say something about our city administrator. You did a hell of a job. I got to say you ran the city. And I was gonna stand up here and back up all of the councilmen and I see where you all can't back up each other. How could we stand for you all when you won't stand for each other to run this city? I think we should stop the bickering. I think all of us should stop this, even me. No more negativity. I think all of us should be equal, treated equal. All the council members should run the city administrator and the attorney. I don't feel one man should run the city attorney. He makes the money to run this city. That's his job. And he did his job. You pushed him, and we pushed him, and y'all pushed him. He did his job. He did. Even with all the problems with that show, he still did his job. So I want to give you kudos, Mr. Fields. I didn't think you had it in you. I'm going to tell you the truth. I just knew you was going to be out that door. But you proved yourself. And I think we all of us, even you, Mayor, every one of you all, should work with this city administrator. Not one person giving them orders. If a councilman asks him something, then he should be able to provide it because that's his job. He's making over $200,000 a year to run this city and being underpaid. But he still ran this city. He did a fabulous job. And from now on, Mr. Fields, if I'm going positive and everyone here, and we're going to stand behind you all as a city, then I believe all of you all should stand with Artie Fields. Not one person go and tell him what to do, because all of you all are his boss. The mayor, you the chairman, you signed. The 4 councilmen, you are his boss. The mayor didn't appoint him. You voted for him. Judy, everyone voted for him. Whoever. If you didn't vote for him, he's still in charge of this city. The mayor, you was gone, you had surgery, this man ran this. Eloy, you did a good job at the meeting. I got to give it to you. You did. Anyway we end up with a tie, you did a good job. Now, one thing I gotta say negative first, y'all. Do not, I hope y'all didn't give that money to the Little League. I hope y'all didn't really get that money. Mayor, they waiting to get their hands on that money for that Little League. Those kids ain't getting that money. Is there any kind of way y'all could intercede that little league money? Because somebody, the person I saw today at a Power Empowerment for Congress meeting this morning that I was sent to, then they spotted me and ran out. So I think y'all should do something about that. Seriously.
Okay.
Please, Mayor.
All right.
But yeah, he did a good job.
Thank
He
you.
did. Good job.
Okay, close public comment. Any council comments? Councilman Stevens.
Yes, I'd like to say, in reference to the tundra, you know, all that, what it comes down to is negotiations, and we're going to look at the positive side, but you have to look at what could have been, and what could have been is that we could have negotiated a better deal in reference to, remember, we own Manchester Boulevard. It no longer belongs to the federal government. They could not have moved that shuttle any other way other than down Manchester Boulevard. You couldn't do it down Lincoln. You can't do it down Sepulveda because you have bridges, Culver City, as well as also when you get over near Playa Vista. So the bottom line is that they needed us just as much as we needed them. But I'd just like to say that you can negotiate anything. You could negotiate that the vehicle would come from Chrysler Plymouth in Inglewood, and we would have received some type of publicity. I would like to obtain how much revenue did we generate from that commercial in Ms. Fields. I would like to know that. And I also would like to know how much did it actually cost us as far as the city, as far as our police department, our fire department, just the overall cost to the city's bottom line. How much did it cost us? Now, I would like to say this, and I'll be closing on this. Reginald Owens was a young man who attended Los Angeles Harbor College in San Pedro, and he lived on 10th Avenue. Reginald Owens was a clean-cut young man, and Reginald Owens, he majored in energy pathways, in the energy pathways program at Harbor City College down in San Pedro, down near the docks. Well, he worked for British Petroleum, and he was a contract employee. Since he was a contract employee, he was laid off for about 3 weeks. But he wasn't laid off. What happened was he was a contract employee, and he was on his way to being hired by Chevron. And on Sunday, Reginald Owens was shot dead. And he was shot dead in the parking lot of Darby Park. And when Reginald was shot, he was sitting in Darby Park, and he was sitting there with his girlfriend. And they were just talking because Reginald lived with his grandmother and grandfather. His family lives in San Bernardino, but he attended Los Angeles Harbor College, and so it was closer for him to commute. And also, he actually liked Inglewood. He liked Inglewood. And so what he did was, while he was going to LA Harbor College, he worked for FedEx. He also worked for, well, first he started off at Target. And while he was at Target, he worked there, and then he went to work for FedEx. And anybody who knows about FedEx, you can't be lazy and work at FedEx. He was hard working. And so Reginald was shot dead. And I just want to say to the people out there that it happens everywhere. It happened at Roberts Market to 2 police officers. And what the killer did was he walked up to his car that he sat in and said to him, "Who are you?" And he turned and said, "Well, who are you?" And the killer shot him twice and then shot him 2 more times. And the bottom line is that he was just sitting there, and he didn't belong to any gang. He didn't bother anybody. He was a nice guy. And so, but it's not just in Inglewood. If you go right up Manchester Boulevard to Roberts Market, and we're in Westchester on the other side of railroad tracks, there were 2 individuals sitting in a car, and 2 people came up on them. And they said to them, they said, "Where are you from?" And they asked, "Where are you from?" And the person who asked, "Where are you?" The perpetrator who came up on them, he reached for his gun. But the guys who were in the car were police officers. They reached for theirs, and they shot him dead. And the person who was driving, he was wounded. He traveled off. So it's not Inglewood. it's just the world that we live in today. Now, the car that they escaped in was a white SUV Lexus, but this is a Kia. It's missing a headlamp. The headlamp was burnt out. The killer, he had a hoodie, and with tanning the way it is today, he could have been any nationality. But I'd just like for you, Mr. Mayor, if you would close this meeting in the memory of Reginald Owens. And he was a young man who went to school. He did everything he was supposed to do. He loved Inglewood. He came to Inglewood because he liked it. He enjoyed Inglewood. He liked the climate. And he came here, and he lived with his grandparents and his grandmother. And his mother's name is Veronica, and Veronica Collins. And I just can't say enough about that young man. He's a very good young man. He's going to be sorely missed. And so if you would adjourn the meeting in his memory.
I'll be glad to.
Community appreciate it, his family appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Dunlap.
Yes, actually, thank you, Mayor. And Mr. Fields, I'm not aware if we have a surveillance camera in the parking lot at Darby Park, and if not, we should. We had a homicide there a number of years ago where a second-grade student was killed sitting in a vehicle holding a trophy he'd received from some a sport that he was involved with. He was with his parents and a baby brother at the time. And if we don't have a surveillance camera in there, then that's a real problem for us, meaning the city. Meaning we should be putting in surveillance cameras so people feel safe in these areas. So I want you to look into that, please. And if not, this is a second major tragedy take place here. We need to make sure there's a surveillance camera. So if someone comes to that area and they want to perpetrate any kind of crime with stealing something, I don't care if it's a hubcap, we know who they are and that they'll be caught. Also, with regard to the gentleman who spoke about some free speech issues with regard to as a reporter being denied, a photographer being denied access to a community event, I find that very disturbing, but this individual must recognize that this body apparently doesn't believe in free speech. They believe in censorship and limiting information to the public because that's how they act on a weekly basis. So that's very disturbing to me. And actually, since these meetings are for the dissemination of information, one would hope that we would follow the municipal code and allow members of the body what that code says with regard to speaking, whether it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes. It's about information. This is a public meeting to involve the public and to give them as much information as possible. For the chair or any other members of this body to attempt to limit that speech, I find that it provides a disservice to this community, and that's all there is to that. I'd like to let the residents of the 2nd District know that I'm having a town hall meeting on Thursday, the 25th of October, here in Community Room A at 7 o'clock. Once again, that's Thursday, October 25th, 7 p.m., the first floor of City Hall. Anyone who would like to is welcome to come. Obviously, it's a District 2 Town Hall meeting, but anyone who would like to come may come. The comment with regard to costs to the city for the Endeavor event, all of our costs, it's my understanding, will be reimbursed by the California Science Center so that there will be no cost to the taxpayers of this community. And once again, I'm concerned that we didn't really want to talk about something so important to us with regard to something in depth. I will be showing that DVD at my town hall meeting with regard to DWP. Anyone who's interested can find it on, let's see, CS, let's see, what are the call letters? I have to look it up. Which Way LA, it's a radio show. Just look that up, Which Way LA, you'll find it. KCRW. They talk about different issues in the community, so you would like that. But please remember to come. I was there 6 hours on the street in Manchester on Friday. I was there 3.5 hours on Saturday. It was a wonderful time. The community was so excited. It was just exciting being with the community, watching the shuttle, standing there waiting for the shuttle. But it was so much fun. And when the Tundra truck, even though you may not have liked the Tundra truck, but when I started pulling it after it had been setting for so many hours, started pulling, everybody started cheering because they've been waiting for many, many hours. I've never seen so many cameras in my life because I think everybody has a cell phone. They're all holding their cell phone over their head, shooting pictures. So I hope somebody got some photographs of the people because it was so much fun out there. And obviously it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. People are still talking about it, and it was just a real thrill for us. Thank you.
Councilman Morales?
And just to continue that, I mean, I was out there too, and it's just amazing that so many people came. There was people who, you know, from different languages, different races. I'll tell you that the excitement just expanded. I was interviewed by Spanish-speaking media on a few occasions, and just to be able to kind of express the impact that it had here in the city of Inglewood, and to see how supportive so many people who haven't been in this country more than 5-10 years really kind of show what it meant to them, and to take their children out there here in the city was extremely positive. But once again, just want to thank staff, and you know, someone mentioned the mayor was out there. Mayor, you know, great respect for the fact that you went out there on that day and kind of represented us in a way that was necessary. So we appreciate that as a council as well. Thank you.
Councilman Franklin?
You know, Mayor, I just want to follow up my colleagues. We all are elated for the endeavor passing through the city. But you, Mayor, want to give you your props of being a true public servant, putting your faith and strength in the Almighty and having the endurance to endure. It is outstanding. It really shows your leadership and your efforts. And my heart goes out to you and your family for all that you know that's in your heart and all the things you're dealing with in life. And that I just want to thank this community that is now blending as a community of unity. God bless you all. Good night.
Okay. Ethel, would you wait one moment, please? Could you wait one moment? Thank you, Councilman Franklin. Okay. I have a reason. I want to close the meeting in the memory of Reginald Owen. Sounded like a wonderful young man. I'm so sorry that he lost so tragically. I also wanted to just say a couple words. One, I was really glad to hear what you said about people being positive, because I've had a number of experiences recently that have caused me to reflect on a lot of things. Not many people know it, but in my wife's family, they are stricken by cancer vociferously. She lost her aunt 2 years ago to brain and inflammatory breast cancer. Her mother to lung cancer 3 years ago. Her grandparents to breast cancer, both mother and father. Father suffered from prostate cancer, survived. Her sister passed just this week from ovarian cancer. She was 50. Gwen was 54. And I have been blessed in my life never to have been, in 40 years, I was off one day of sick from work because I had to take my children to the orthodontist. And I had a back surgery. I didn't have one, I had two. And after the first one, I was paralyzed. Yes, for 2 days. And as I lay there and I reflected on my life and I reflected on what people do and what they say and what they think is important, and I took inventory of the things that I do and why I do them. And you know what? I didn't find myself wanting one bit for the things I do and why I do them. I'm going to tell you something about this city. The city has to grow up. We have the potential, the geography, the intelligence, the talent to exploit that geography and become one of the best cities on the West Side. The only reason we're not considered West Side is because we lack West Side ambiance, because we sit here and we argue and bicker, and we almost seem like we have some people in the city that love to swim in misery. I remember hearing people say that the shuttle coming through Inglewood was going to be a fiasco. How terrible it was about the trees. I mean, everything negative you could think about. And this was the largest outdoor event ever held in the history of the city. So all I want to tell you guys, you know, I'm going to be all right, thank God. I'm going to go through some therapy, but, you know, I couldn't even stand on Saturday. I had to be lifted and helped. But I want you to know that's how important it was for me to be there with my colleagues to talk about what the new Inglewood is going to be. And so all this little complaining and bickering about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and people keeping information from people, let's get off of it, people. How much time does it really take to talk about what you want people to know? If you want to do DVDs, hold town hall meetings. These are the people's business. They're not personal meetings for us up here. They're your meetings, they're your business. No one's trying to censor anybody. We're running a business meeting, or we're doing your business. So I want to close again, and then for Reza Owens and for my sister, Gwendolyn Rawls, and we're adjourned.